Minister, what does Carafesta mean to you personally, and what does it represent to a country like St. Martin, would you say?
I think for myself, it's first, it's my introduction to the region as the minister responsible for education, culture, youth, and sports. And as someone who's always advocated for greater regional collaboration with our immediate neighbors and our more distant Caribbean neighbors, it's definitely a chance to make that a reality. It's something that I advocated for prior to becoming minister from the floor of Parliament. And for St. Martin, I think it's a reintroduction of ourselves. Our music scene, our art scene, our fashion and film scenes have kind of exploded over the last few years, and Carafesta has been absent. So we haven't had this platform to be able to show the rest of the region on a collective scale what we've been up to. A lot of our artists have traveled to different islands to perform, but I think in terms of the impact of this mass gathering of culture and art and who we are as Caribbean people, I think it represents a great opportunity for St. Martin to say.
Can you walk us through the preparation of St. Martin's delegation from selection to final readiness?
Yeah. Well, it's been a journey. In my early discussions with Clara Reyes, our head of the Department of Culture, I said, I wanted it to be a small but impactful delegation. I think we also have to admit that, we do have limited resources in terms of how many people we can send as St. Martin to these types of events, but I wanted us to make a good showing nonetheless. So we definitely knew that we wanted to have representation of our fashion designers, most notably in Zilla Duzon, and we wanted to have some spoken word representation as well, and music. And of course, the delegation was released yesterday by Ms. Reyes on social media. So I think from there we said, who has made the biggest impact? Zilla has done amazing things with her work, from her swimsuits to her dresses to her scarves. And her patterns. It's really been a remarkable work. For spoken word, we have Paiza going with us, and I think she's a remarkable artist when it comes to just using language to express herself and her feelings and what's happening in the world today. And of course, for music, King James has been one of our most prolific soca artists, and I think his energy is definitely going to give people a taste of what St. Martin goes through every carnival when he performs. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that come together and really show the Caribbean what we're made of.
Minister, how does Carafesta, would you say, align with your ministry's broader vision for cultural development and community engagement?
Carafesta for me it's a return for the ministry to who we are as St. Martin, truly steeping ourselves in our cultural practices, our activities, and our history and our efforts. I think I've always said, we need to begin putting these things down on paper. We need to begin showing the rest of the region, what we are about, and let them know that this is St. Martin, this is how we are, who we are as a people. For community engagement, it kind of is one more step in the road to what has begun with, for example, our Emancipation Day celebrations earlier this year, that kind of return to that Caribbean ancestral, freedom of expression, ways of expression, that I definitely want to highlight throughout my term as minister, and really take us back to that feel. And community engagement, I think also the engagement of our Caribbean community. For me, bigger delegations to Carafesta that include larger delegations from the French side, in even Saba and St. Eustatius would be the ultimate vision, I think, because our Caribbean community is something that we don't tend to engage with or rely on as a country often enough, for my liking. I think, especially over the last 5 years, that engagement has been restricted to in times of need, we reach out, but you have to be there with your neighbors and for your neighbors at all times. And I think this is a great step towards that, because everyone is going, even our next door neighbor, St. Kitts and Nevis, will also be present at Carafesta. So we're looking forward to expanding the engagement, not just from our local community, but also engaging the diasporas of the other islands around us and those islands.
Celebrating the richness of our shared identity. Leading our delegation is Clara Reyes, head of the Department of Culture, whose vision has been instrumental in showcasing St. Martin's cultural talent. Clara, it's once again an honor to have you in the program. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be sitting in this chair and answering these questions.
Let's get right into it. Clara, what is Carafesta's significance for St. Martin? It's going to be interesting to get your take in this series on this.
Since its inception in 1972, when CariFesta was born by our great Caribbean leaders with a vision to unite the Caribbean and showcase its intellectual prowess in every platform. So everything from intellectual discourse, research papers presented at university level, concerts, visual arts, film, theater, fashion, any art form, any discipline that tells a Caribbean story is brought together, as it were. This is like the Olympic of cultural Caribbean excellence in one venue. So what does it mean for St. Martin? It means that we are also on that platform, that we are a voice. We are bringing the St. Martin perspective. In a lot of forums, the St. Martin perspective has not been part of these dialogues, like individual artists here or there might be doing something grand. But for some reason, because of our political infrastructure, the fact that we are part of the Dutch kingdom and we're not necessarily part of the CARICOM, we are not always left out, but we sometimes miss some very pivotal, crucial platforms to be a part of. So this gives us the opportunity to share what the St. Martin story is. Mm-hmm. And at a very high level of artistic excellence, intellectual prowess, you name it, we are there at this table and we too can participate. And people can hear what St. Martin has to say, see the vivacity and the diversity of our vocal expressions and our artistic collaborations and endeavors. So it's fantastic.
Clara, how were artists selected for this year's delegation? Take us through that process.
The process was very simple in that over the years, we have been working with a multitude of artists in St. Martin community. We have our very diverse database that covers everything from singers, dancers, visual artists. And because I knew we had a very tight budget and a very tight selection that I could travel with, we looked at artists who are multidisciplinary. So an artist who's both a singer or a dancer, or a visual artist who's a poet. So if you had an interdisciplinary nature as a creative person, we were able to go through a list, and those are the people that selected. The minister had her role in that as well. She had her vision of who she thought would be well representative. And after going through this selection of list of people, we came up with Lisandra Suriel, who is a photographer and visual artist, both film and photography. We had Faiza Tabasamu, who also does film and poetry, and she's an educator. We also have Charisse Piper, who's an installation artist, which means she's an anthropologist, an installation artist, and a poet. Then we didn't have any dancers. So last year or 2 years ago, Jonathan van Arneman, actually an economics major, but also a brilliant choreographer and filmmaker, he created this wonderful film called Atlantis Rebirth, right, which is a 1-hour full-length feature film and features some of St. Martin's best dancers. So although we don't have physical dancers going with us, we have a film that captures a very, very diverse group of dancers that tell a powerful story. Right. We also have, so those are the 4 selected artists, but then artists who found out about CariFesta called the department and said, well, can we go along? And they're actually paying their own journey to CariFesta, but flying under our banner. So we have Sammy Alexis, who's a drummer, a storyteller, animator, dance educator. And then we have Lucinda Auden, who, as you know, is an all-round entertainment artist. She has Funtopia. She does heritage work. She's a poet. She's a visual artist. So these were the artists that were selected based on the wide range and the scope of their work. So we try to really capture as many disciplines, right, in very little bodies, as it were.
Independent regulation that has always been a problem. There is a lot of discussion going on about the preciseness of this bill. Is it a reliable bill? Do we get enough accountability to this invoice? Do we get enough explanation? It has been said, for example, that you get an invoice, but you don't have a clue what is your outstanding debt. They only give you for the past month what you have to pay. These things are bringing a lot of dissatisfaction by the consumer. And how is this tariff being constructed? How does that work? And because we realized also, because we hired in the BNP, we realized that it's a lot unknown to the consumers. How do you get to the figure that is you think correct to bill me, for me to pay the bill? And for that, of course, we thought on, and it has been suggested by some members of parliament, also, for example, the chair of parliament, for an independent regulator for this. It's time now, as Curaçao does it, for us to have an independent regulator, an entity that can keep a sharp eye on the quality of our invoices. In light of the ongoing energy crisis, the continuing concern regarding the reliability of service delivery and the erosion of public confidence in the transparency and accuracy of tariffs, this government has deemed it necessary to strengthen regulatory overweight and oversight of the tariffs applied by NVGB. We thought it's enough now. We have to get to a great standard of approach through a regulatory organ. To achieve this, in collaboration with the Ministry of TIAD, we have formally requested support from the Bureau Telecommunication and Post, the BTP, to serve as an independent regulator in the analysis and assessment of NVGB's tariff. This is also one of the actions that we took to see how we can get this officially regulated for us to have clarity and transparency in the bill that we are presented with. This step is critical to safeguard consumers by ensuring tariffs are fair, justified, and transparent. Provide independent oversight that reinforces accountability in NVGB's operation. And of course, rebuild the public confidence by demonstrating that tariff setting is guided by objective expert analysis. By requesting BTP support in this role, government is taking steps to ensure that the tariff structure applied by GBE are subject to independent expert review, thereby protecting the people of St. Martin while advancing transparency and good governance. Madam Chair, I have the letter here showing that BTP has requested me, has confirmed to me my request that they will take my request and grant me the approval that they will establish the regulatory organ for the control of BTP. Later on, if there is any question about how this commitment will be, I have the letter and content here to share with all of you. Further, financial, technical, and operational status of this company. Everybody has an idea about this company. I do not have an idea. Why? Because I came in as Prime Minister in May 2024. There were no audited financial year reports of 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. And a board supervising this. And a government in all these years supervising this as shareholder. Nobody has a clue about the financial status of this company. So I decided with the government of St. Martin, the shareholders, that we are going to perform a quick scan to have at least an idea where we are standing on financial level and technical level with this GEBE. I do have already the correspondence going on about the request and the interaction taking place with a code for us to proceed with a quick scan to at least have an idea where are we standing financially and technically with this GEBE.
I think for everyone. The invoice that was requested from MP Utley, will we receive that? How will we receive that? Okay. Just as you requested through the chair?
I am understanding, MP Otley, correct me if I'm wrong. I understood that you sort of answered MP Waver's question that you can show it, but you will not send it. That is what MP Waver, the response from MP Otley, because your request was kind of directed to my earlier request, and I'm hearing MP Otley now answer that you can see it, but he will not be sending it. So I would want to suggest to the Prime Minister, given that the MP said it was one from Seoul to the harbor, if it can be ascertained from the company Seoul.
Of course.
And then, so MP Waver, you're not getting that one, but then I put the request to the Prime Minister if he can ascertain, get that or one like that from the company in question. MP Waver, MP Waver, but this would be your second interruption. Okay, so MP Waver is not having his second interruption, but MP Janssen is having an interruption. Prime Minister, bear with me, please, as I get this straight. MP Janssen, you have the floor for interruption.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we have understood, on the floor of Parliament here, the actual invoice that MP Otley has is an invoice from Seoul to the harbour. MP Otley also indicated that he has an invoice from Seoul to GEBE that contains the TOT service charges as well. I would like to state here that and request the MP that if indeed on that Seoul invoice to GEBE, it does not state TOT and that Seoul does not charge TOT to GEBE, that the MP apologizes for calling the Prime Minister a liar on the floor of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Janssen Webster. Prime Minister, you've heard that exchange, but I would just like to ask you, given the discussion, if you can ascertain from the companies involved if there is such an invoicing, not a particular invoice because you don't know which one it is, I assume. So that would be my request to you, Prime Minister, as I then encourage you to continue.
Madam Chair, I will of course entertain your request, and I will see if I can get these invoices concerning what the MP is telling us about. There is one more thing that I would like to talk to before I summarize what we are going to do now until now with the relief. There is also a proposal to GB for AI integration. As we see, there are so many developments going on with AI in the whole world. I had coincidentally Mr. Richardson Greg today that is very into the AI, and he also recommended me, why don't we try to apply AI in seeing how AI can help GB in reorganizing itself. And I found it a fantastic proposal that perhaps I will entertain. Once again, to summarize the intended relief measures, the first one is what I said about the 50,000 being 600,000. The collaboration will be between GEBE, that is their prerogative, with the Social Service Department, and GB indicated that probably they will be ready to start with this as of September, but that is for them. They came with this proposal, they informed me, I acknowledged per letter that I received that letter, and I commend them for that. And secondly, we are going to do, of course, the possibility for the household-based subsidy applied directly to the electricity bill. And it will be a support estimated for 6 to 12 months. The criteria still being developed, as I said, because it's the latest development after I have put a lot of time to see where I can get some space financially to meet the relief that I really think the people deserve. But okay, we are not going to give up. We have already two solutions, the 50,000 per month and, of course, the household subsidy that we are planning as government to give. We are trying, I didn't promise, I'm going to repeat it, to organize it for it to be able to start, if possible, if we get, because it's a huge organization, for us to get it going, to see if we can start for as of December.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Since everyone started with a quote, I think I'll start with one as well. Sometimes to get the apples you want, you have to shake the tree. And that's what you did today, to get the attention of the members of parliament, your elected representatives. I believe that you are our friendly neighborhood firefighters and ambulance workers. Mac, as we affectionately call you, I have not heard of those derogatory remarks about any of you guys, whether it's the ambulance or the fire department. Me personally, I hold you in high regards, in particular with the Sucker Garden bushfires. On 2 occasions, you guys were there and basically saved my home. And from a person seeing a fire coming to their home and knowing that the only line of defense is the fire department, I can't be ungrateful. I have to hold you in high regards. And the same goes for the ambulance department and the work that they executed, especially during the COVID time. So again, and in part, we're all responsible for the situation that you find yourself in. It doesn't solve anything to cast blame here today. I served in the executive branch on many levels. So yes, I take a part of that responsibility as not prioritizing this issue enough, and I think it should be prioritized. The question is that we are faced with here today is, okay, how are we collectively going to solve this? And the proposal that I'm going to bring to the floor is that the Prime Minister and the Minister of VSR meet with the union and its representative as soon as possible to once and for all put this thing where it's supposed to be, that we can all say that it is done and it is handled. Because like many of my colleagues in here who say, you know, I have friends in both departments. I too have friends, lifelong friends, friends that I've known for as long that I know myself, friends whose children call me Uncle Frankie. You know, so I am standing with you because I know what it is like to work and be satisfied at the end of the day when you get your salary. I'm also with you because I know what it's like to work and not get that salary. And you deserve it because I know of the 24-hour shifts. I didn't know of the intricacies of the payment. I know of the plights of the ambulance department as the former commissioner for 8 years of VSR. So again, from that perspective, yes, I believe that it is your right to stand up when negotiations break down and you feel that your voice is not being heard. And there's nothing more frustrating to be screaming and you yourself don't feel that you're getting the results that you're looking for. So my suggestion would be that both ministers of VSR and the Prime Minister meet with you guys as soon as possible. From a parliamentary perspective, as far as negotiating what it is you're negotiating, we as Parliament, is very little that we can do. We can hear you out, and we can hold the members of the executive branch accountable for executing that task. And I feel that is something, especially hearing now that you're on a go slow, God forbids there is a bushfire, then my home again will be in jeopardy, and they're not life-threatening until they are. And that's the dangerous thing with a bushfire, because especially in the Sucker Garden area, it's all bush until it gets into the residential areas. So having said that, that is my proposal to the floor of Parliament, and I hope that that meeting is convened as soon as possible, and the next time that the members of the fire department and ambulance department are here is to say to the members of Parliament that we've had that meeting and it was a successful meeting, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and know that the light of the end of the tunnel is not a train coming.
I do want to assure you that I have been listening and I have heard all the pointers that have been brought forward. It's clear that this is a situation that has been weighing heavily for a long time, and that it takes courage and persistence to continue voicing your concerns and continue working under these circumstances. What stands out for me is that this has been going on for over 12 years. And as my colleague before me stated, I'm not here today to point fingers. Also seeing my position as also being a certified mediator, I would like to also look at, okay, how can we move here today or leave here tonight with a solution-based approach. I understood based on the question that I have asked that there has been communication that a meeting was going to take place. For some reasons it didn't take place, and the next appointment date wasn't available. So now we are here that I understood that a new meeting is scheduled for the 27th of August. That being said, I do want to know, seeing that it has been brought forward that currently you all are on go slow, my question is, and as I mentioned from a mediator perspective, thinking out for solutions, what is currently needed? Because yes, you have the critical needs of the people that you will go and answer that call, and that it has been mentioned that for certain calls you will not show up. My question is more, what can be done and what approach can be taken that even for those calls you will show up? And that is not to say that what is being said is not heard, but for me it's more to see, okay, if currently a meeting is scheduled for the 27th, what is needed, if it is that is confirmed, what is needed for that go slow, not to continue? Is that an earlier meeting? What can be, like, where are we if we are negotiating in communication and feeling unheard? What is needed to make sure that we reach each other? Because what I have heard today is you want to be heard, you need to be heard, you want the grievances to be dealt with. So currently, now that we are here, questions has been asked, but I do believe that when we leave here tonight, that a clear stance, like what you expect for that go slow, not to continue, and the people of St. Martin will feel safe in all regards, and you also feel heard what is needed for that to take place. And that's added to the proposal of what my colleague MP Myers brought forward, to add that specific question, not disregarding all that has been brought forward, but thinking solution-based orientated.
And before I answer the questions, I have to expound on a statement that was made where just about every MP said they appreciated the noise because the noise brought the attention. They appreciated the fact that the fire and ambulance department stood their ground and came so that they can be heard. However, the intimidation is so great within the civil service that even while they took to the streets today to make their statement of discontent heard throughout the public, using the trucks was a problem. Using the ambulances were not a problem. But the firefighters, again, got it as to why they are using the government trucks for a strike. I didn't know it was a strike. I thought we were coming to a meeting. So I saved the best for last. And you can understand why the demotivation is so high. And it came from right in here. So if you want the union to sit and have amicable discussions, then the intimidation needs to stop. When that stops, then we converse. None of the members of WICSU PSU should feel intimidated, according to ILO Convention 87, to stand for their right. And as their leader, I will not, and I repeat, I will not, capital not, be intimidated by anybody, as long as they are within their rights to stand for their right. WICSU PSU will do just that. And if it means the same trucks that gotta come and out the fire at your house, take your cat out of the tree, cut the tree that's blocking your electrical lines, and I could go on and on. It's being used so that they can be heard and they can go to work and feel appreciated. I would like to see the government, because they were told that before. But I would like to see the government that would tell them that the same tool that they're using to save you, they cannot use it for their voice to be heard. I guess they were supposed to stay quiet because, you know, you hear the mice when they make rattles. But when the lion roars, it makes a difference. So I think I needed to get that off of my chest first so that we don't be hypocritical in here and think that it's just what the firefighters came to say. It is an ongoing problem. We need to stop pointing fingers. And yes, we do know that you as parliamentarians, as you said, might not be able to execute. But I'm quite sure you see the Tribune is full. You know what that means? Outside of fire and ambulance, we too form part of the community of St. Martin. And I think the responsibility to the community of St. Martin isn't only when they don their uniform, when they don their uniforms and go out to protect you and I. That's not the only time they should be recognized. Because as one of the members said to me, if it was elections, we would have been heard a long time ago. And that sentiment should not exist when you have essential workers that are saving your life, my life, and that of our families. And MP Westcott, you said it correctly. It's a very uncomfortable feeling when you hear that they're not going to certain calls. And as responsible workers, the first thing they asked, and they said to me, how do we determine what is not an emergency?
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has blasted the opposition for its handling of Operation Pride, the housing initiative launched in 1994. Speaking on the campaign trail, Dr. Holness argued that the program, which was intended to expand access to housing, instead encouraged widespread squatting and left behind poorly planned communities without adequate infrastructure. He accused the opposition of planting the seeds of chaos by failing to ensure proper regulation and long-term development.
The objective of Operation Pride is something that I agree with. The country needed an Operation Pride. But the truth is, you can't leave these kinds of projects up to the PNP.
He said his administration will push forward with plans to formalize settlements where possible.
I can tell you that under my watch, There has been no informal settlement created, sponsored or tacitly supported by the government. No chaka-chaka development sponsored or created by the government. Jamaica has turned the corner on chaka-chaka development because this administration does not stand for chaka-chaka development.
With squatting affecting tens of thousands of Jamaicans, the issue has become a major campaign talking point as both parties promise decisive action if they form the next government.
In Minister Montague's constituency, we are spending over $2 billion to put in road, water and sewage in a housing development started by the PNP. They said to the people, you see the land there, go and settle it, and we take care of it after. 20 years after, people don't have no sewage, people don't have no water, people don't have no road. That was Operation Shame. We are the ones bringing pride to that housing scheme now.
The next PNP government is going to look after your interests. We want you to become owners. We will amend the law so that you're entitled to a title for your property after 25 years of possession on public land. And we're going to make it happen.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.